Hello, today we'll be presenting our analysis of a case called Henry Tam and MGI team. We'll also be making connections to relevant theories learned in class for a more in-depth analysis. Henry Tam, a second-year Harvard MBA student, felt the need to test his abilities due to the feelings of insecurity and decided to enter Harvard's annual business plan contest. He teamed up with his classmate, three founders of the startup company Music Games International, and two other students, creating a diverse team. The team's product was a CD-ROM music game that helped with children's education and entertainment. The first edition of the game was a critical success but a commercial failure. Although MGI had a high-quality and creative product, the founders lacked experience and resources. As a result, they were unable to effectively advertise and sell their product. To make up for their shortcomings and to improve their marketing skills, they decided to team up with HBA students in specialized areas for assistance. Despite having a clear objective, the game, progress was slow due to disagreements in the target market for the game. During business planning, the team faces many challenges that Henry struggles to overcome. The team consists of 7 members. Henry Tam did not have a creative idea for a new business, but he believed that his knowledge about business development and experience in social media would benefit the team. To every meeting, he brought in written materials with lots of information, giving the team something to discuss each time. Since he has great analyzing skills and creativity, he was able to organize arguments and ideas during meetings. Henry would not take criticisms personally and stayed calm at all times to listen to other opinions. Dana Solman is also a second-year Harvard MBA student. Since the MGI team was lacking marketing skills, Dana's social media skills and an investment banking background were crucial. These skills and her enthusiasm for the product made her an excellent candidate. Unlike Henry, Dana used more strict approaches in meetings. Dave Clark is an MIT graduate from the Brain and Cognitive Science Department. His experience in the software development helped with the technological development of the product. Alexander Jan Sartikov is a Berklee College of Music student majoring in music business management and music production and engineering. He has background in both music and business. Like Igor and Roman, Alex received training in the former Soviet Union. Next are the three co-founders of MGI. They are immigrants in the United States from the former Soviet Union. Igor and Roman are from Ukraine and Sasha is from St. Petersburg. Alexander Gimbelson, or Sasha, is an HBS graduate. Despite him having low communication skills, he has an outstanding financial ability. Before teaming up with Henry, Igor and Roman said that Sasha played an important role because he was the only one with a business background. Sasha was the one organizing things, making phone calls, and setting reminders. Igor Kachenko is a respected and creative musician. Roman says that Igor is like the father of the company because he holds the company in place. Igor can work for 16 hours straight, meaning that he loves working and is determined. Roman Yakub is also a professional musician. He suggested the puzzle game and moved it into production. This is important because it provides a vision for the team. This team has many diverse views due to the different ethnic and educational backgrounds, skills, talents, and fields of expertise. As a result, there may be some conflicts and issues arising during the process. However, each member has special qualities that can help each other.
Many issues were raised in this case, like lack of clear objective, inefficient communication, conflict management, members' lack of clear roles, cultural background and personality conflicts. These issues could be grouped into three main categories as team diversity issue, lack of leadership, and lack of communication. The team is composed of diverse views and talented people. Diversity in team is great sometimes in providing more creative ideas, but it could also easily bring up conflicts and problems. The MGI team and Henry team are diverse from several aspects as personality, cultural background, and ideas. First, members in MGI team are all Russians. Sasha likes to hold his position and then eventually gave up, as said in the story was said to be a Russian style of consensus. Sasha and Roman both showed a stubborn personality, whereas Roman shows stubbornness where he always says, okay, okay, we will do it in your way, but kept going back to his point. Sasha defends the project should go to entertainment market, whereas Henry and Dana think the product should go towards educational market. This showed members hold different views and ideas, which is not a bad thing in a team, but may lead to conflicts and disagreements that will drag the work process. MGI team also includes musicians, where musicians are more relaxed in longer meetings and love to enjoy the time and brainstorming ideas together. As mentioned in the story, creative people like to philosophize, but Dana, as a normal people, thinks the time was just being wasted, where there were a lot of ideas brought up, but no clear text or objective was given. Thus, the consequence is that the team is always paused at stormy stage where disagreement on ideas and conflicts rise. Each member has their own ideas, but there is no leader to glue those ideas together. Thus, resulting members were indecisive to which ideas should be used. Although Henry and Sasha sometimes behaved like a leader, where Henry at the end tried to direct people to a different task and make the team work collaboratively, and Sasha tried to assign works to members. A leader by definition should assign specific roles to members in the beginning and provide helps and directions. A leader should also be giving motivations, clear communications, and solving any conflicts between members. In this case, members lacked clear roles. As said in the story, each member has multiple roles as sometimes served as facilitator and sometimes as moderator, task manager, and strategic thinker. This would often resolve conflict management, also due to absence of a leader who can give out a clear objective. The direction of the product or the product targeting market was unclear, and the collaboration between members was just poor.
Although the members hosted several meetings, they clearly showed a lack of communication. For example, after their first meeting, Henry and Donna were still confused about what they were selling. They were unaware if it was a game, service, or a concept. Second, Henry was not informed about the new member joining the team, which could negatively affect the relationship and trust between the members. Also, the members showed insufficient communication through the argument of product positioning. The MGI team lacked far-sighted vision and acceptance by only focusing on the entertainment market and rejecting Henry's plan of education market plan. But after the communication, the MGI team respected and accepted the plan. When there's a lack of communication within the group, conflicts could be formed which could rise in person-to-person conflict. In the story, Sasha gave Henry and Donna a list of names of HBS alumni that they have to contact without giving any reasons. Although Sasha's point was to gather HBS graduates at companies like Disney to help MGI with the product placement, Donna thought it was just a waste of time and she put it aside. Then later on, conflicts began between them and they started to disagree with each other. Communicating would allow us to share ideas and thoughts and discuss which idea might be helpful or which direction the teams should take. Therefore, great communication would increase trust and relationship between the members, drive high team performance, reduce conflicts within the team, and prevent interpersonal conflict.
The relevant theories and concepts pertaining to the case and its key issues are as follow. First, the leader member exchange theory focuses on the relationship that develops between a leader and an employee. Examining the various dynamic relationships within the MGI team, Donna and Sasha exhibited the lowest quality relationship. The theory suggests employees in low quality relationships will only do the minimum, limiting the performance potential for both the employee and the overall organization. In contrast, Henry had a better time fostering a higher quality relationship with the three founders of MGI, which means he reciprocated with extra effort and higher commitment and performance, as shown by his proactiveness in supporting the team with more organized meeting agendas and ideas. Another relevant theory that reinforces the leader member exchange theory is the social exchange theory, which states individuals who are treated favorably by others will feel a sense of obligation to reciprocate. For instance, Henry was feeling doubt about his own capabilities, but Igor motivated him by acknowledging his strengths and what he could offer to the team. This is likely one of the aspects that retain Henry's obligation to the organization. Both Henry and Donna wanted to forward a conversation for the business plan. However, this was slowed down by certain leadership behaviors. Leadership behaviors include consideration and initiating structure. Consideration is the extent to which a leader is approachable and shows personal concern and respect for employees. We see Sasha not respecting Donna and Henry in terms of their potential to contribute to the project. Instead, he discouraged the potential for a healthy relationship through distrust and discouragement towards the intern's inputs. This trust took shape when Sasha brought in other able bodies, such as Dev and Alex, to do work on the project, without telling the two interns first, leading to the introduction of uncertainty as Donna and Henry questioned what Sasha's intentions were and fueling existing conflicts. One of the most notable instances of a strong and discouraging situation is when Sasha addressed Donna's input as bullshit. In an organization, the voice of employees should be valued and encouraged, as it paves way to more satisfied employees who will tend to speak up. But in this case, Donna's outspoken personality confronted Sasha's aggressions and led to the development of further tension. Communication is essential in any team. It's the process by which information is shared between the members of a team. Having effective communication is ideal for the team's productivity. The lack of communication can create conflicts, lower performance, and lower team morale, which essentially leads to slower business processes. These negative impacts were all notable in the case. Voice is the constructive expression of disagreement or concern about work units or organizational practices. It is essential in the communication process as it allows information to flow in the organization. Voice also is perceived as risky due to inherent power differentials in organizations. Taking aggression towards an employee's input will only lower the employee morale and create conflicts. Therefore, to avoid harming the communication pipeline, it is essential to recognize the value of employee voice. Cultural context played a crucial role in developing the conflicts within the diverse team. Cultural context is the cultural information that surrounds a communication episode. We saw conflicting high versus low context culture during the meetings that can act as a fuel to conflicts and slow down decision making. Oftentimes, in high context culture, the message should not be interpreted literally, because of those of high context cultures value the context in which messages are received in the communication process. For example, Igor, Roman, and Sasha all come from high context culture country, Russia, explaining why they tend to be implicit about the way they communicate with the group, while those in the group from a low context culture country such as North America tend to be more direct and straight to the point within a meeting. Such was the case for both Donna and Henry. The difference can create tension as there are conflicting norms, as indicated by Alex, who said it was a clash of civilizations. Stereotyping is the tendency to generalize about people in certain social categories and ignore variations among them. This behavior acts to bias a person's perception of others. Most notable influence of stereotyping was the perception of Sasha by the HBS interns, who described Sasha as different from what you would imagine an HBS grad of his generation to be like, while also noting his tendency to jump from one idea to another. Admittingly, both Donna and Henry attributed these observations as barriers to the progression of the business plan and established as a challenge they had to work on. This perception hinders the trust toward the upper exec, which is based on the perception of their ability, benevolence, and integrity. By their critique of Sasha, there is already a lowered level of trust within the group, opening up the opportunity for conflict and lowering the willingness for members to be vulnerable and take risks on decisions. Conflict played a key role in hindering the progress of the business plan. Conflict is the process that occurs when one or more organizational subunit frustrates the goal attainment of another. One of the causes of conflict can be interdependence. That is, individuals are mutually dependent on each other to accomplish their own goals. An example is when Igor stated the MGI founders really needed both Henry and Donna, even though there was already conflict developing between Donna and Sasha in the first meeting. This also shows the potential Igor sees in the intern to support the group through their lowest time. There are various types of conflicts within the case study. First, relationship conflicts, which is tension among individuals that have to do with relationship and not the task. An example from the case is the relationship between Sasha and Roman. They are adjusted as something that's inherent in doing business between friends. They work and they fight. However, because fights in the workplace had already been normalized, it became clear early on there was no proper conflict management in place. Secondly, task conflict is disagreements about the nature of the work to be done. This took shape as a result of unclear roles in the organization, as noted by Henry, who said, Sasha saw them as interns while they saw themselves as leaders and facilitators in shaping the vision. This ultimately developed confrontations between the parties about how the specific tasks were going to be completed. And thirdly, process conflict. Disagreement about how work should be organized and accomplished, again, can be attributed to the lack of clear roles and a leader. For example, in deciding on the appropriate market to target, Henry had been doing a lot of work in the education market, while the MGI founders thought about targeting the music industry. But as noted by Henry, given the nature of the product and its stage of development, there would be very little chance of success in marketing the product as entertainment. Therefore, they should be organizing themselves in the direction of the education market. In dealing with the conflict, Henry took a competing stance of maximizing assertiveness of their position and minimizing cooperative responses, by prioritizing the facts found in research. Contrastingly, Dav remained quiet throughout the majority of the meetings, avoiding the conflict because he was not very aggressive in group conversations, showing low assertiveness of their own interests and low cooperation with the others. This only provides short term stress relief but ultimately does not change the situation at hand. Even though he had some great input to give as he acknowledged the potential of the product for the educational market, his presence instead heightened existing tension in the group.
To begin, let us provide our recommendation to address the issue of a lack of definitive roles. MGI is set up in a cross-functional team in which people of different specializations are brought together. The lack of roles has resulted in role confusion, which has halted any real progress MGI has attempted to make as a company. Therefore, I believe that establishing definitive roles will greatly benefit MGI's efforts of constructing a business plan and finding the company's direction moving forward. In order to establish roles, we must first consider each member's skill sets and capabilities. Igor and Roman have zero business knowledge or ability, but are talented musicians, while members like Sasha and Henry and Donna are well versed in business management but have little musical ability. Alex is more neutral in his skill set, knowing bits about business and music, while Dav has experience with software development. Therefore, we would recommend first establishing roles and then forming subunits within the organization. Igor and Roman's role within MGI would be to be the creative directors of all future products and music-related projects, forming the creative design subunit. The subunit in charge of business operations would be made up of Sasha, Henry, and Donna. Alex's role can be that of someone who works between both subunits depending on need. Lastly, Dav will be in charge of the software development side of the project. These newly assigned roles and subunits will eliminate some conflicts and role confusion. Our team would recommend the nomination of Henry to be appointed as the company leader. One of the main reasons behind the selection is because of Henry's mild-mannered approach to handling differences in opinions as well as criticisms. Henry doesn't take disagreements personally, and he is able to incorporate all sides of the discussion rather than stubbornly argue for his way, demonstrating his willingness to use the collaborative style of conflict. This separated himself from other members such as Sasha and Donna, who used the combative conflict styles, unwilling to accommodate or collaborate with each other. Henry was also thorough in his preparation and a charismatic leader. Henry would be the clear leader of the business side of the project and the overall organizational leader. However, due to his lack of musical knowledge, we would recommend appointing Igor as second in command, as he proved to be a dedicated member with great musical ideas and connections that will serve to provide MGI competitive advantages. Igor is viewed as a metaphoric father figure for MGI, therefore it is smart to let him be the head of the creative process as well as serving a vice president role. Establishing this leadership hierarchy will help the team resolve internal conflicts as well as provide a much-needed voice. Establishing roles, subunits, and leaders can also help address the issue of ineffective communication. Many of these communication issues are due to the lack of organization of meetings. Having subunits within the company will allow for a more organized form of communication compared to the large unstructured meetings without a focus. Another reason for the ineffective communication witnessed in MGI is due to the internal conflicts between members. Having leaders and definitive roles can help resolve some of these unnecessary conflicts between individuals and improve the overall communication of the team. Lastly, having leadership can also help cultivate a healthier workplace culture that encourages collaborative work as well as opportunities for formal and informal communication, allowing members to build relationships. While diversity can prove to be an asset in many ways, in the case of MGI, the multitude of diverse backgrounds had a negative impact on their organization. During the first 3 meetings, it is clear that the diverse backgrounds created unneeded tension and conflicts regarding the approach and methods. We believe that dividing the employees into subunits will help people mitigate some of the conflicts which were caused by a difference in professional background. Along with this, the difference in cultural backgrounds was apparent as the team had a business school versus Russian dynamic forming amongst them. To address this issue of cultural differences, we recommend establishing a workplace culture which enables open mindedness and acceptance, as well as allowing for both formal and informal communication in order to get to know each other's differences. Also, when dealing with cultural differences, especially language barriers, it is important to keep the language simple and clear, avoiding usage of unique lingo or figures of speech.
To improve communication and create definitive roles at MGI, we've recommended establishing subunits. However, subunits could acquire too much power if they are able to secure scarce resources, which could further deteriorate the separation of roles and the leader's authority, which would work against the recommendations. Special consideration should be given to the subunit assigned a marketing role, since it was the main point of contention. Another recommendation we made was for Henry to have the definitive role of the leader. However, an alternative to that would be participative leadership, but on an individual basis. Everyone on the MGI team joined the team because they felt they had something to contribute. While there have been disagreements, I don't believe the culture is inherently competitive since people are there to contribute, so they are trying to be collaborative. So depending on the context, if the team cannot come together as a group, the leader can collaborate with the most informed person about a specific decision that needs to be made. For example, Dana is a big picture person with financial expertise. Henry should involve Dana in her in decisions related to finance or big picture stuff, rather than get input from the whole team. I suggest it as an alternative because obviously the whole team would have more knowledge combined to inform decisions, but not every decision of the same importance, so they have to weigh the opportunity cost of time. For decisions where time is of the essence, an alternative would be participative leadership on an individual basis. To overcome diversity issues, Ivan suggested the team establish subunits, but there's another special consideration that should be considered as well, which is avoid having a sole female member of any one subunit. Since we did not recommend Dana for a leadership role and she is a female, to respect gender diversity, she shouldn't be put in a subunit where she is the only member. If so, she may be subject to discrimination as her work is isolated from others. Furthermore, being in a single member subunit, she would have no opportunities to advance her position anyways. Secondly, the MGI team should reduce the subjectivity of performance evaluations because while some performance is indeed subjective, especially with the music games company, they should be paired with quantitative metrics to prevent discriminatory practices by measuring the performance of women against an objective benchmark.
This case is based on the real company Music Games International (MGI). They sold music games for children ages 5 and up, and the music includes Nutcracker, Magic Flute, and Alice in Vivaldi's Four Seasons. The music games were all successful, which resulted in winning some awards such as Teacher's Choice, Teacher's Raves, and Top Children's Software Awards. The games were loved by the children, and the teachers and the parents found these games as good teaching materials for the children. In conclusion, it was nice to have a diversity within the group, but this led to some problems that were detrimental for the teamwork and relationship between the group members. To prevent any conflicts due to team diversity, they should be more open-minded and they should understand the cultural differences they might face while communicating with one another. Also, Henry Tam and the MGI team were lacking communication and lacking a leader. This was a significant reason for the interpersonal conflicts between the team members when they did not have a common goal. We think that some changes could help the group to have better relationship between the members, especially by assigning a group leader. The specific leader of the team who leads the group with fairness could assign specific roles that best suit each one of the members and prevent conflicts by improving the work environment. Also, we would recommend the group to have more communication because lack of communication could lead to misunderstanding within the group and disorganization of the project and the team. Overall, we suggest the team to alternate to a definitive leadership style because the MGI team showed competitiveness within the group, which caused the failure of collaboration as a team. With a definitive leader, we believe that the team would be able to collaborate together instead of having any competition. Thus, making some changes like these would help them to be more successful as a group and as a company.